Good morning, grade 7s, and welcome back. I hope you had a good weekend. For me, it doesn't seem like there's a weekend or days of the week. It just sort of seems to merge into one. But I really am trying to separate my work days and my weekends. I hope you are too. It's really important for us to do that in order to have downtime, but also in order to make sure that we're working and keeping on top of our academic work. So let's look at our lesson overview. We always have our daily starter, and then we're going to look at comprehension skills, and this is part 1. So the 3 things that we are going to look at are creating a visual, making a connection, and then questioning. So let's jump into our daily starter. We're talking about the word it's or its, and which one do you use when. So just remember, when you say it is, there's your contraction, so you've taken the I out and put an apostrophe. So always say the sentence, it is, and the rest of the sentence to see if it makes sense. And then if you can't use its, example, the penguin eats its breakfast, it wouldn't be the penguin eats it is breakfast. So no apostrophe there. So just pause the video, go through these, and then we'll go through them together. They're all numbered number 1. That is just for fun. So pause the video, off you go, and we'll go through them together when you come back. Right, let's see how you did. I love to watch my dog chase its tail, not chase it is tail, so it's no apostrophe there. The next one, do you know if it's going to rain? Do you know if it is going to rain? Yes. Next one, it's my birthday. It is my birthday, works there. Next one, when it's your turn, throw the ball. When it is your turn, throw the ball. Next one, put your phone in its cover, not it is cover. The second last one, will the kitten find its way home? Will the kitten find it is way home? No, so it doesn't have an apostrophe. And the last one, I wondered if you were able to do this one. It is slightly tricky. It's not meaning it is, it's past tense. I looked at the schedule and it has already started. So that's why it's not it is already started, it has. So it would need an apostrophe because it's a contraction taking the H and the A out. Okay, let's jump into our lesson for today. So we're talking about good readers. Specifically, we're talking about comprehension skills. So how do you become a good reader? You need to use a variety of the strategies that I'm going to talk about today every time you read. Whether it's, and I know sometimes you just want to read for fun, and that's fine. But when you're specifically reading some things, even if it's a book, and I don't see where my book is that I'm reading. I've probably put it on the other side of the bedside. When I'm reading that book, I try not to ask too many questions or to use the strategies that I'm telling you about, but there are times when I do, because I think, why did they do that? What happened there? Oh, I love that description. And then you need to construct meaning from your own mind. So based on your background and things that you've been through or experienced, you can often connect those to what you're reading about. So let's take a look at the first one, creating a visual. So that is about your senses that creates a picture in your mind, and it's almost like you create a movie of what's happening. So you need to look at things like what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you smell, and what you feel. So let's take a look at this next slide before we go on to something that you're going to help me with. So when you're creating a visual, you need to be saying to yourself, the picture that the author gives me in my mind, I'm trying to understand why she describes it like that. Number 2, why is that visual that I'm seeing or picturing in my mind important to the story? Is it important? Isn't it? Number 3, how does that visual help me better understand the story? So maybe it's a description of the house or the place or the person. Does it help to improve your understanding of something? Right, so let's take a look at this paragraph. It's from a book called The Children of Green Know, and we're going to read it together. So let's take a look. A little boy was sitting in the corner of a railway carriage looking out at the rain, which was splashing against the windows and blotching down in an ugly, dirty way. He was not the only person in the carriage, but the others were strangers to him. He was alone, as usual. There were 2 women opposite him, a fat one and a thin one, and they talked without stopping, smacking their lips in between sentences and seeming to enjoy what they said as much as if it were something to eat. They were knitting all the time, and whenever the train stopped, the click-clack of their needles was loud and clear, like 2 clocks. It was a stopping train, more stop than go, and it had been crawling along through the flat, flooded country for a long time. Everywhere there was water, not sea or rivers or lakes, but just senseless flood water, with the rain splashing into it. Sometimes the railway lines were covered by it, and then the train noise was quite different, softer than a boat. So what I want you to do now is I want you to take, and I'm just going to go back to show you, I want you to take your 5 senses, and using this paragraph, the children of green know, just write down, what do you see? List all the things that as you're reading, what do you picture? What do you hear? Write down all the sounds. What could you taste if you were there, or that you're getting from the article? And maybe there aren't any. What kind of things do you feel if you are sitting in a railway carriage? And so on. So just pause the video, and when we come back, we'll go through it together. Right, let's take a look. So in the little paragraph, the little boy is what we see. We see he's in a railway carriage. There's rain. There's 2 women. One is fat, one is thin, if we want to be specific. They're knitting. If he's looking outside, there's flat country. It's dirt. There's dirt and there's water. Those are the things that we are seeing. And then also things that maybe I didn't add in there, if you're thinking about it as well, it's probably in the daytime, because if you can see them, it's quite clear and light. What kind of things do you hear? So from the paragraph, there's that splashing of the rain, there's the 2 ladies talking, they're smacking their lips, so that's that kind of sound, the click-clack of their needles, and then obviously the train noise. What could you smell? So you can probably smell the rain. If you've ever been inside, think about that smell of the rain. Other people, maybe around you on the train, if it's stuffy, you can get that stuffy smell. What do you feel? Perhaps you're feeling that stop-start of the train, and it's more stop than go. Maybe you can feel the seat you're sitting on. The ladies are feeling the knitting needles and their wool. And then obviously perhaps things that you could taste, if they're that close to you, is the smacking of the lips. To me, it gives a sense of spitting. Perhaps a few spots get on you, which would not be great. And probably in a train of that kind of nature, you need to make sure you have one of those masks, which we have at the moment. Right, so I hope you managed to do that. Let's go on to the next one. So we're now going to look at, so the first one was about making visuals, so making a picture in your mind of what you're reading. Then you need to make a connection. So you need to connect the topic or the information that you're reading either to yourself, okay, or to another text or movie or article that you've read, and to the world or about the world. So we're going to go again, and we're going to look at the same paragraph. The little boy was sitting. So I want you to read it again and go back to the slide, and or even just on your piece of paper now, write down myself, other books, world. And you can even just draw a stick man, a book, and a circle. And then what you're going to do is read this paragraph again. I'm not going to read it to you, but read it again. What kind of things can you connect to yourself? Have you ever been on a train, for example? What things have you read or heard about in other books that you can relate to this story? And anything about this story that connects to other parts of the world or things that you know about the world. And when you come back, we'll go through it again. Okay, how did you do? Let's take a look. So if you're connecting it to yourself, have you been on a train, been inside a train or your home watching the rain? And in Joburg, we have had quite a few rainstorms here lately, so we've experienced that. Have you experienced that? Have you been around older ladies when they're chattering? Have you been in a flooded area where you can see that a lot of things are underwater? Have you been alone with strangers like he was? Can you knit? So anything that you think could relate to you. I actually can knit, but can you knit? Those kind of things, the clicking and the clacking of the needles, will help connect the story to you. Or maybe you're irritated when you're watching your grand knit and that noise. And then what books have you read about a train or a flood or strangers or knitting? And then relating to the world, do you know about any floods in the world? Do you know about any stories that you've heard about strangers or a train or the underground subway, for example, in the UK? Have you made connections with this story to your own life and other areas? And then we go and we ask questions. So the first one, remember, is making a visual or like a movie in your head using your senses. The second one is to connect to yourself or to something you've read or the world. And then the third one is about asking questions. So to become a good reader, you need to start thinking or wondering about the story. So be active by asking questions like who, what, why, when, where, and how. You also need to wonder, why did this happen? What does this word mean? What is going to happen next? Why did whichever character do that? And why did the writer put that part in? Was it necessary? Is it important? So if we take a look now again, and I'm just going to go back one spot, I want you to write on your piece of paper who, what, why, when, where, and how. Now, you might not be able to answer all of them, but put that down on your piece of paper. Also, maybe find words that you don't understand. Maybe question certain parts that the writer has put into the story. Do you think, wow, was that important? And then we'll come back and go through it. So especially this first part, just make those 6 columns and then go back to the story, which is here, and pause and go through and see what you can find out. And then we'll come back and go through it again, as we always do. Let's go and see how you've done. So if we take a look here, I just did the columns. Who, we're talking about a little boy, 2 ladies. What is happening? Well, the boy's alone and he's traveling, and so are the ladies. The ladies are knitting and chattering. Why? I could have said there, why is the boy on the train in the first place, especially by himself? And it says little boy, so that worries me. Why is there flood? Why is there a flood? Why is the water covering the tracks? When? I'm not sure what possible time of day it is, but it's probably in the daytime because you can see the rain and the dirt. When is this taking place? We're not sure. Is it an old story, a new story? Probably an old story because they're talking about a railway carriage. Where? Well, we know that they're on a train and we know that it's flat country outside, but it's not specific to which country in particular or which place. How? I never really found anything to do with how. Word meaning? I was wondering about the word senseless, why the water is referred to as senseless. So senseless is, especially if you've gone over our prefix and suffix lesson, the less means without, so without sense. So think about that with the water. Why is the water without sense or meaning? Perhaps the water has no purpose. And so field questions like that in your mind as you are reading something. And then other questions, I haven't put any. I wanted you to think a little bit more about that. And then the next is, where is he going? Where are the ladies going? Where is he going that he's traveling by himself? Is he running away? Is he going to his grandfather's holidays? Lots of questions about what happens next. And then we have got our part 2, which is, this is just an insight into what's coming next. So our other strategies are determining the importance of detail. We're also going to look at inference, so reading between the lines. And then we're going to look at synthesizing as well. And you'll get to understand what those mean in the next lesson. So if we look at this is sort of reading between the lines. So a little cartoon. Have your eyes ever been checked? The guy says, no, my eyes have always been blue. So a little bit of a play on word. Have your eyes ever been checked? In other words, the doctor's saying, have you ever been to an optometrist to have your eyes looked at? But the man in the picture is saying, no, they're not checked as in a whole lot of squares. He's got blue eyes. So just a cute, funny little reading between the lines picture. And so let's wrap it up. So our comprehension strategies that we've learned today are about creating a visual or a movie picture in your mind to deal with your senses. We've looked at making connections, one to yourself, to something you've read, or something about the world. And then we've looked at questions. So asking yourself who, what, where, what does this word mean? Why did the author put these phrases in? So looking at your 5 W's and an H. And then, as you know, when we finish this video, you will be able to pause it and you can go and find the activity, as you know, that you can do. And then remember, you can email me any questions about today's lesson, comprehension strategies. And please remember to send it to grade7@worksheetcloud.com. And also remember, in our email writing lesson, make sure that your subject line is correct, as in grade 7 English, because then I know it's going to come to me and not the maths teacher. Thank you so much again for joining me this morning. I do hope that you will have a lovely afternoon and be able to work on the things that you need to work on in your maths, science, and English lessons. So, as usual, guys, I will be here at the same time, same place. Bye, everybody.